Wake up. Look around you. Are you seeing this? Are you really seeing what's happening? For too long, we've tiptoed around the truth, but not anymore. Welcome to Beyond the Red and Blue, where we don't deal in polite fiction. Today, we're ripping away the gilded veneer to expose the cold, hard reality of Trump's disastrous legacy, including his latest failure, the war with Iran. This isn't about left or right. This is about right and wrong, about failure on a scale that threatens to engulf us all. Buckle up, because what you're about to see is the undeniable, documented truth about a man who has consistently put himself before country, before decency, before everything. Let's get straight to it. Let's begin by dissecting the very essence of what defined the Trump administration. A doctrine, if you can even call it that, built on self-interest, chaos, and a profound disregard for established norms. We're talking about a man whose entire approach to governance was fundamentally destabilizing. First, consider the erosion of democratic institutions. He didn't just disagree with the system, he actively sought to dismantle its foundations. We saw relentless attacks on the judiciary, the intelligence community, and even the electoral process itself. This wasn't about policy debate. It was about undermining the very trust that holds a republic together. The constant questioning of legitimate election results, the attacks on federal agencies performing their duties, these weren't isolated incidents. They were a systemic campaign to weaken the pillars of American democracy. And when those pillars crumble, the entire structure is at risk. Then there's the assault on truth and reality. Alternative facts, fake news. These weren't just catchy phrases. They were weapons in a war against objective reality. When the public can no longer agree on basic facts, when every piece of information is subject to partisan interpretation, true dialogue becomes impossible, and manipulation becomes rampant. This deliberate blurring of lines, the constant gaslighting of the public, has left a legacy of confusion and cynicism that makes informed decision-making incredibly difficult. This is how dictators operate. Control the narrative, control the people. And what about his divisive rhetoric and societal fragmentation? Trump perfected the art of pitting Americans against each other. Race, religion, urban versus rural, vaccinated versus unvaccinated. Every potential fault line was exploited. Every division widened. This wasn't accidental. It was a deliberate strategy to solidify his base, regardless of the profound damage it inflicted on the social fabric of the nation. The result is a country more fractured, more distrustful, and less capable of collective action than perhaps at any other time in recent memory. Finally, let's talk about the delegitimization of the presidency. The office of the president is meant to be a symbol of unity, integrity, and national purpose. Under Trump, it became a vehicle for personal grievance, self-aggrandizement, and relentless infighting. The constant scandals, the blurring of personal and public interests, the unprecedented lack of decorum, these actions diminished the stature of the office both at home and abroad, leaving a vacuum of moral authority. This doctrine wasn't just problematic, it was poisonous. It chipped away at the very essence of what it means to be an American, replacing shared values with a corrosive individualism and a dangerous contempt for the institutions that protect us. And as we're now seeing, the chickens are coming home to roost. And nowhere is the catastrophic legacy of this doctrine more evident than in the current unfolding crisis, the war with Iran. This is not an accident. This is the direct, predictable consequence of years of reckless foreign policy, impulsive decisions, and a profound misunderstanding of global diplomacy. Remember the withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal, JCPOA. This was a landmark international agreement, imperfect perhaps, but effective in containing Iran's nuclear ambitions. Trump, driven by spite and a desire to undo anything Obama achieved, unilaterally ripped it up. He did so against the advice of his own intelligence agencies, against the pleas of our closest allies, and with no viable alternative. He promised a better deal, but delivered nothing but escalation. This single act alienated our allies, emboldened hardliners in Tehran, and set us on an unavoidable collision course. Then came the maximum pressure campaign. Instead of diplomacy, Trump opted for crippling sanctions, aiming to force Iran to capitulate. What did it achieve? Not capitulation, but desperation. It devastated the Iranian economy, yes, but it also pushed them closer to nuclear capabilities, not further away. It created immense suffering for the Iranian people, fostering deeper resentment against the U.S. and empowering the very regime he claimed to oppose. It was a strategy born of arrogance, executed with cruelty, and destined to fail. And let's not forget the reckless provocations. From the assassination of Soleimani to repeated threats and military posturing, Trump's approach was a masterclass in igniting conflict. He constantly pushed the envelope, seemingly unaware or unconcerned with the concept of de-escalation. Every action was a gamble, every tweet a potential diplomatic crisis. He dismantled the diplomatic channels, fired experienced diplomats, and replaced reasoned engagement with bluster and brinkmanship. The result? The current war, a direct confrontation, the very scenario countless experts warned against. American lives are now on the line, the global economy is in turmoil, and the Middle East is ablaze, all predictable outcomes of a foreign policy based on ego, ignorance, and isolationism. This isn't abstract politics, this is real blood, real treasure, and real global instability, directly attributable to the man who promised America first, but delivered chaos. This war is not just a tragic event. It is a monument to his utter failure as a commander-in-chief, a diplomat, and a leader on the world stage. So what do we do when faced with a documented history like this, when leaders appear to be warmongers and act like dictators, putting the lives of the American people and indeed the world in grave danger? This isn't just about pointing out problems, it's about finding solutions, about what we can do right here, right now, to fix this situation. And let me be absolutely clear. Speaking for myself, and for what I believe is the majority of people who are watching this, do not just take my word for it. In an age saturated with information, it is your civic duty to be a relentless fact checker, question everything, verify every claim, not just from me, not just from this program, but from every news outlet, every social media post, every politician, every single source of information you encounter. Develop your media literacy, understand the different types of media bias, whether it's through omission, selection of sources, placement, or the use of loaded language. Always ask, who is providing this information? What is their agenda? Is there evidence to back this up? Seek out multiple diverse sources. This is how we arm ourselves against manipulation and ensure that truth, not propaganda, guides our decisions. Trump, if you see this, believe me, I don't regret saying anything because I would tell you the exact same things to your face. You are a failure, not just to America, but to humanity itself. Just the sound of your voice makes my blood boil. Your propaganda will not work. We know you for who you are. A disgrace. Now, for everyone else who shares this frustration and this understanding, here's what we can do. This is about taking back our power. First, and most critically, we must demand accountability. Our system has checks and balances for a reason. When a president's actions threaten our Constitution, our safety, and our global standing, we have mechanisms. We must support and push for congressional oversight. Our elected representatives in Congress must rigorously investigate and challenge actions that undermine democratic norms or provoke unnecessary conflict. This means supporting representatives who are committed to their constitutional duties, regardless of party. We must also demand the rule of law. No one, not even the president, is above the law. We must fiercely defend our independent judiciary and law enforcement, ensuring they can investigate and prosecute wrongdoing without political interference. This includes supporting reforms that would clarify presidential immunity and allow for accountability for actions taken in office that harm the nation. He should pay the same price as any other dictator or war criminal would have to face. And while we're demanding transparency, let's call for what has been standard practice for decades. Demand his full, unredacted tax returns for every year. If he's such a great person, such a successful businessman, why is he so afraid to show them? Is it because it will expose how little he truly pays in taxes, how he manipulates the system, or how his purported wealth doesn't align with reality? No more excuses, no more hiding behind audits. And if the President of the United States can seemingly evade or manipulate his taxes, then why are we, the working people, compelled to pay ours, especially when those hard-earned tax dollars are sent overseas in vast sums to fund other nations' operations, like the billions in military aid the U.S. provides to Israel, aid that effectively covers their defense, while simultaneously, here in America, our own citizens struggle for basic needs like affordable health care and quality education. While Israel enjoys universal health care and heavily subsidized college, funded by their own robust tax system, our aid frees up their domestic funds. This raises a fundamental question. Does Israel truly have that kind of strong hold on American policy, diverting our resources while our own people suffer? We need answers, and we need our priorities to be here, at home, for the American people. Make no mistake, our taxes are the lifeblood of this government. When enough of us are hurting, when enough of us demand that our own needs come first, the government will have no choice but to listen. It is through our collective action, our collective will, that we remind them who truly holds the power in this nation. They will serve the American people first, or they will learn what happens when the people unite. And we must advocate for protecting whistleblowers and a free press. These are essential guardrails. We must champion those who courageously expose misconduct and a free, unbiased press that reports the truth, holding power accountable. Second, we must rebuild and strengthen our democratic institutions. This means getting actively involved. We need to vote and protect the vote. This is our most powerful tool. We must register, vote in every election, local, state, and federal, and advocate for policies that make voting easier and more secure for all eligible citizens, not harder. Support election officials and fight against disinformation campaigns aimed at undermining faith in our elections. This also requires civic engagement beyond the ballot box. Our democracy thrives when citizens are engaged. This means participating in local government, attending town halls, joining community organizations, and speaking out. It means contacting your representatives, writing letters, making phone calls, and even peaceful protest. And we must focus on promoting media literacy and critical thinking. In an age of endless information and misinformation, it's vital that we, as citizens, learn to discern fact from fiction. Support initiatives that teach critical thinking skills, how to evaluate sources, and how to engage in civil discourse, even with those we disagree with. Encourage respectful dialogue, where we listen to understand, not just to respond. We should also support nonpartisan efforts to bridge divides. There are organizations working to bring people together, foster understanding across political lines, and find common ground. Seek them out and support their work. Finally, regarding leaders who act as warmongers and jeopardize American lives, the response must be clear and decisive. We must demand diplomacy first. We must demand that our leaders prioritize diplomatic solutions and international cooperation, exhausting every peaceful avenue before resorting to military force. War should always be the last resort, not the first. We must uphold constitutional war powers. Our Constitution gives Congress, not just the President, the power to declare war. We must hold Congress accountable to their constitutional duties, demanding they assert their authority and prevent unilateral military actions that put our service members and citizens at risk. We must strengthen international alliances. We must rebuild and strengthen our alliances, working with global partners to address complex challenges and deter aggression rather than alienating them. A strong, united front is far more effective than isolationism, and we must advocate for peace. Support organizations and movements that advocate for peace, de-escalation, and human rights around the world. Make your voice heard that the cost of reckless military action is unacceptable. This is the documented record, a relentless pattern of financial recklessness, corporate collapse, administrative chaos, a systematic assault on truth, deeply divisive rhetoric, and a willingness to challenge foundational democratic principles. The cumulative impact of these actions, both past and present, is profound. It demands unwavering scrutiny and a clear-eyed understanding of the full, unfiltered account of this consequential figure and the unfolding crises, including the war with Iran under his command. He must face the full consequences, the same price any other dictator or war criminal would have to face. We ignore it at our peril, but we don't have to. We can stand up, speak out, and demand better. Somehow, along the way, it feels like the government forgot about what America truly stands for: the people. Our nation was founded on the radical idea that power flows from the consent of the governed, that our leaders serve us, not the other way around. It's about protecting individual rights, ensuring justice, and creating a society where everyone has a fair shot. When policies prioritize the privileged over the struggling, when truth is sacrificed for power, and when our fundamental democratic processes are undermined, that sacred trust is broken. This isn't just about partisan politics. It's about reclaiming the very soul of our nation, ensuring our government remembers its purpose: to be of the people, by the people, for the people. Narrator shifts back to direct call to action. If there's a subject you want us to tackle next, a policy you want dismantled, or a truth you feel needs to be exposed, comment below and let us know. Your voice fuels this mission. That's the truth, and that's what we aim to do every single day right here on Beyond the Red and Blue. I'll catch you on the next one.